Do you want to know how to access Excel spreadsheet in Python? Do you want to know how to add some complex objects like chart and images into your Excel spreadsheet using Python? Then you are in the right place. In this session, I'll cover all these things. Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Balaji, and in this channel I post weekly videos on tips and tricks to enhance your Python knowledge to apply it in a real-time project, and sometimes I also post videos on C# and Node.js. So if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing it. So let's dive into today's topic, that is accessing Excel spreadsheet in Python. So shall we start now? Yes. Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Balaji, and in this session I am going to show you how to access Excel spreadsheet in your Python code. And in order to do so, I need to download one of the third-party libraries, and that particular library is OpenPyXl. This is that library. So I need to download this library. So what I'll do is I'll open my command prompt, and then here I'll type python -m pip install OpenPyXl. So this is what I need to do. So here I am using pip to install this OpenPyXl. So I'll press enter. It is showing requirement already satisfied, because in my case I already downloaded this library. Suppose if you don't have this library, means it will download and install this library for you. Okay, so now I'll go to my editor. So here I am using VS Code as my editor. In your case, you can have any editor of your choice, but I recommend you to use VS Code because it offers more features than other editors. Here I opened one folder and I created this app.py module in it. First, what I need to do is I need to import OpenPyXl. Okay, so I'll do so. So import OpenPyXl. Okay. First of all, what I need to do, I need to create a new workbook. Okay, so for that, what I need to do is WB, which is for workbook. WB is equal to OpenPyXl dot workbook. Okay, it will create a new workbook in our memory, and in order to save this particular workbook, we need to type WB, which is our workbook object, WB dot save, and then to it we need to pass the file name. Here I'll just pass test.xlsx. Okay, so test.xlsx. So it will create a new workbook, empty workbook, and then it will store it under this particular name. Now what I'll do is I need to run this particular project. So I'll go to my terminal, and then here I'll type Python, and my application name is app.py. So I need to type this, but I'm not going to use this particular way to run this project. I'm going to show you another way to run your Python code. For that, I need to download one of the plugins. So I'll go to this extensions menu, and then here I'll type code runner. Press enter. You need to install this extension. Once you install this extension, you can run any of your Python code just by pressing Ctrl+Alt+N. And note, this plugin is just not limited to Python alone. You can use this extension to run program of any language by using this shortcut. Okay. In my case, I already installed this particular extension, so I can use this extension. Okay. So Ctrl+Alt+N, just pressed it. Okay. See, it is running this app.py. Yes, it's done. See, test.xlsx is created in this particular directory. Okay, because we haven't give any other path. Suppose if you want this particular file to be stored in any particular location, means you need to give full path. For example, if I want to store it in my C drive, means I need to give C drive. Oh, sorry, C drive means I need to give full path like this. But in my case, I don't want that. I just need to store this workbook under the same folder. Okay. So this is that thing. So I'll open this thing, double click it. Oh, VS Code can't display it. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just reveal it in my Explorer, and I'll open it. Actually, I'll show you one shortcut to open this Excel spreadsheet in your VS Code itself. So in order to do so, you need to download one of the extensions. So I'll again go to my extensions menu, and here I'll search Excel Viewer. So this is that library. You just need to install it. Once you install it, you can open any Excel spreadsheet just by right clicking it, and then by clicking this open preview. I'll just show it. See, it's actually opening it. Wait, see, it's our empty workbook. It has one worksheet which is also empty, so only it is displaying empty thing. Okay, Meanwhile, my MS Excel also gets open. See, this is the same thing that we are seeing here also. So download this Excel viewer plugin. It will be more easy for us to visualize our output. Okay, so I'm going to use this particular plugin here for this demo. Okay, now we have our workbook. Now what we need to do, we need to create a worksheet to add some data to it. So for that, what we need to do is we need to type wb.createSheet. That's a method you need to use to create new sheet. But now what I am going to do is, instead of creating new sheet, I am going to use this existing sheet. Okay, what is its name? It's named sheet. Okay, so what I am going to do is, first I will change its title. Okay, so for that, what I will do is, I'll just say wb of within square brackets, and here I will pause the sheet name. So wb of sheet. Oh, it's of caps S, so I'll just pause caps S and sheet. Okay, so I'll just store it in sheet object. Sheet is equal to wb of sheet, and I'll just type sheet dot title is equal to hobbies, for example. This is a thing I want to change this sheet name to hobbies. Okay, so I'll save the changes, I'll run it again, Ctrl Alt N. Okay, it's done. Now I'll open this thing. See, now instead of sheet we get hobbies. Okay, now what we need to do, we need to add some data into this hobby sheet. So for that, what we need to do, we need to create new list of tuples or list of lists. Okay, so I'll do that. Hobbies equal to, it's a list which contains many hobby. Okay, so first hobby of me is web API development. That's my first hobby. Okay, and my second hobby is reading books. Also share your hobby with me in the video comments. So these are all my hobbies: reading books, and then my final hobby is watching Netflix. I think most of his favorite hobby is this, watching Netflix. Okay, so I'll also change this serial number. I'll save the changes, and now instead of referring to this sheet worksheet, what I need to do, I need to refer to this hobbies, because we already created this hobbies worksheet. Okay, so I'll just remove this particular line, or I'll just comment out this line. Okay, now we are referring to this hobbies worksheet, and then we are adding some data. Actually, we haven't added any data yet into this worksheet. So in order to do so, I need to iterate through this hobbies. Okay, so for hobby and hobbies, now I'll use sheet dot append hobby. I'll save the changes and I'll run it. Ctrl Alt N. Oh, it's showing error. Worksheet hobbies doesn't exist. Oh, what's happening here? I'll just open this test. Hobbies, it's there. Okay. Oh, I found that problem. Here, what we are doing, we are just creating a new workbook every time. And this particular workbook doesn't have a sheet named hobbies. It will have the default sheet named sheet. That's a sheet it have by default. But here we are trying to access hobbies, which is a sheet that doesn't exist yet. Okay, so now we don't need to create new sheet, but instead we need to load this existing sheet that we already modified. So what I need to do is, I need to load. So load workbook, and then to it we need to pass that spreadsheet path. So here I'll pass test.xl as x. Actually, I'll do one thing. I'll create a new method for it. Okay, so def load workbook. And here I'll get workbook path, wb path. Okay, and then here I use path module. So I'll first import it. So from OS import path. Okay, and then here I'll check if path dot exist, and then to it I'll pass this workbook path. If it already exists, I'll load that worksheet. Okay, so I'll just copy this line. So return OpenPyXl.load workbook, and to it I need to pass the workbook path. Suppose if it doesn't exist, I need to create a new workbook object. Okay, so return OpenPyXl.workbook. Okay, that's it. Now I will use this load workbook method to create or load my workbook. So here I'll pass test.xlsx. Okay, now it will work. Now I need to run this application, but before that, here I'm using the same workbook name again and again, so I'll just store it in a separate variable. So wb path equal to this thing, and here I'll pass wb path, and the same thing I'll also follow here, wb.save wb path. Okay, now I'll run this program once again, Ctrl Alt N. Yes, it's done. Now I'll go to this preview. Okay, it's good, but I forget to add title for this two columns. So for that I need to insert new row before this first row, and then we need to add some data into it. We need to add our title data into that. Okay, but usually what you need to do, you need to add your title as a first tuple in your list of tuples. Okay, but I forgot to do that. So what I need to do is I need to insert my title row as a first row. If we use append means it will add that particular title data as a last row. I'll just show you that. So what I'll do is I'll use sheet.append, and then to it I'll pass serial number, comma, hobby. Okay, I'll save it. I'll run it. It's showing error. Append. Oops, sorry. Capital I10. Okay, it's done. See, it's added as a last row. So we don't need to add this row as a last row, but instead we need to add it as a first row. For that, what we need to do is we need to insert rows. Okay, so I'll use sheet.insert rows. To it you need to pass the row number. Okay, where it needs to insert a row, you need to pass that row number. Here we need to add this title row in our row 1, so we need to pass 1 to it. Okay, so 1 comma, how many rows we need to add? We need to add just a single row, so I'll pass 1 again. Okay, so here you need to pass the row number, and then here you need to pass the number of rows. For example, just for this demonstration, I'll just type 2. Now what it will do, from row 1 it will add 2 empty rows. Okay, that's the thing it will do. Okay, so just for this demonstration I'll keep it as 2, and later I'll delete that second empty row. Okay, now what I need to do, I need to insert this particular title data in row 1. Before actually inserting some data into our inserted rows, we will first see what is the output of this particular method. Okay, I'll just run this program, Ctrl Alt N. Oh, what happened? Sorry, I pressed delete. Ctrl Alt N. I'll go to my preview. See, from row 1 it inserted 2 rows. Okay, but here I don't want 2 rows, I want single row. So in that case you need to pass 1, or you can simply leave it empty. So both of them are same. If you want to insert single row, you can optionally leave the second parameter. Okay, both this thing and this thing are same. Okay, so now what I need to do, we need to insert some data into each cell of this row 1. Okay, so I'll use for loop again, for title in this particular tuple. Okay, I'm going to use this particular tuple. Okay, and then here I'm going to use one of the methods of the sheet object to update the cell value. So I'll use sheet.cell, and then here you need to pass the row and column of the cell that you need to update. Okay, so here our row is constant. We need to update all the cells in our row 1. So I'll pass row is equal to 1, and we need to update all the columns of row 1. So the column value is dynamic. When it is in the first iteration, we need 1 because we need to add serial number in the first column, and when it is in the second iteration, we need to get 2 to actually store this hobby in the second cell of row 1. So what we need to do, in order to do so, we need to use enumerate method. Okay, I guess you already know how this enumerate work. So enumerate of. Now we will get index as the first value and our data as a second value. So I'll just type call or call idx. Okay, and then here you need to pass columns equal to call underscore idx. Okay, but actually there is one problem here. This enumerate method will return index value from 0. For serial number it will return 0 and for hobby it will return 1. But we don't want the value from 0, but we want the value from 1. For serial number we need index 1 and for hobby we need index 2. For that, what we need to do? We need to just add 1 to it. Okay, so during the first iteration we will get 0, so we'll add 1 to it, so the column becomes 1. And for the second iteration we'll get 1 here, so 1 plus 1 2. So this is a simple trick that we need to use, or you can use one another way. Actually I'll use that particular way. Here you can also pass the start value, so start is equal to 1. If you pass this parameter, means for the first value it will return this start value. Here we pass 1, so for serial number we will get 1 and for hobby we will get 2. So now we don't need to add 1 to it because we are already getting a correct column index. Okay, and the third argument that we need to pass is value. So value is equal to title. That's the thing that we need to add in that corresponding cell. Okay, here what we are doing, we are iterating through all the cells of row 1 and we are updating its value. That's the thing that we are doing. Finally, don't forget to save the workbook. That's very important, because if you forget to save this workbook, means all the changes will be discarded. It won't affect our original workbook. Okay, so now I'll press Ctrl Alt N to run this. Okay, it's done. Now I'll open the preview. Yeah, it added the title in our row 1. Suppose consider you want to add any data to row 2, means how you will do? It's very simple. You just need to change this value to 2. That's it. If you run, means it will add all these values into our row 2. That's the thing. Okay, so it's very easy, right? I'll just change it to 1. Actually I don't need it anymore because I already added my title. Okay, I'll just comment it out. So now what I need to do, I need to remove these unnecessary rows. I need to remove this second row, empty row, and also I need to remove this final row, 6th row. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to use sheet dot delete rows. It's similar to insert rows. So as a first argument you need to pass the row index that you need to delete. So here I need to delete the second row which is empty. From 2 I need to delete 1 row, or you can simply pass 2. Okay, that's it. And then finally you need to delete the row 6. Okay, because it contained our title. I don't need title as the last row, so you need to pass 6, which is row index, whatever. Okay, save the changes, run this thing once again. Yeah, it's done. But what's the problem? It actually didn't delete our final row. Okay, I found the problem. We actually deleted row 2. So once we delete row 2, our row 6 will move to row 5. So it is not row 6, but it is row 5. Okay, so I'll also comment this thing and I'll run this once again. Ctrl Alt N. Okay, it's done. We are done with removing rows. Removing column is also similar to that. Instead of delete rows, you need to just pass delete calls. Delete underscore calls. That's it. Now instead of 5, for example, if I need to delete second column, means I'll just pass 2, Ctrl Alt N. It's done. Oh, see, our hobby gets deleted. That entire column gets deleted. So this is a way to delete a column. Okay, now I'll show you how to print all the data that are there in our worksheet. But before actually doing so, I will show you another thing, that is inserting column, because here we deleted our column too. So I'll restore it. Okay, so for that what I'll do, I need to use sheet dot insert calls. I think you already guessed that method name. So insert calls. I need to insert column in the second index. Now what I need to do, I need to add some data into it. So in order to insert some data, I need to use for loop. Oh, I forget. For hobby. And here we need to get all this data. So what I'll do is I'll use list comprehension for that. So here I'll do for hobby in hobbies, and then hobby of 1, because it's a list of tuple. So whenever this loop iterates, we'll get this entire tuple. So we need to get its first row. That's the thing that we need to get. So I'll just fetch the first row. But before actually doing so, we also need that hobby title also. So what I'll do is I'll also add the title here. So first title is serial number, comma, hobby. Okay. Now I'll again use sheet.cell method to update each and every row. So I'll use sheet.cell. So here row will be dynamic because we want to add all the hobby to each and every row in column 2. So our column will be 2, value will be hobby, but our row name will be dynamic. So I'll type row ID X, and then here I'll enumerate through this particular list. So use enumerate, and then the start value should be 1 because row index also starts from 1. And then here finally I'll receive row ID X. That's it. Now I'll run this program, Ctrl Alt N. Oh, tuple object is not callable. What's the problem here? Oh, I forget to pause comma here. Okay. Now I'll run this program once again, Ctrl Alt N. Now I'll go to the preview. See, we added hobby. That's it. Now what we need to do? We need to get all the data from this sheet, hobby sheet. Okay. Just comment this say because we are just going to read some data for row in sheet dot values. That's it. It will return a generator object, and then here using for loop we are getting each and every row, and then we need to print it. So I'll type print of row. That's it. Now I'll run it, Ctrl Alt N. See, it is returning all the rows one by one. Now I'll show you another way to iterate through each and every rows of our worksheet. For that, I'll just comment out this line, and here I'll type for row in range. I'll use range method. So range sheet dot max row. So this particular property will return the maximum row of this worksheet. Okay. What is the function of this range method? This range method will generate value from 0 to that n value. This is our nth value. So it will return 0 to n minus 1. But our row index always starts from 1. So what we need to do is we need to just pause 1 here, and then you also need to add plus 1 here because we need to access the last row too. Okay. That's the thing that we need to do. And for iterating column, we want to follow a similar approach here for column in sheet dot max column. So we also want to access the last column. So we need to add plus 1 to it. And then here you need to print sheet dot cell. And then here we need to pause the row and column value. That's it. Now I'll run it. Ctrl Alt N. See, it is returning all the cell objects that are there in each and every coordinates, A1, B1, A2, B2. Okay, we need to get its value. So for that, what we need to do, you need to access the value property. We previously used this value property to update the value of each and every cell, but now we want to just get the value of each and every cell. So I'll access value. Okay, now I'll press Ctrl Alt N again. See, now we are getting each and every value, serial number, hobby, 1, and all those data. But I don't need to add new line here. Here this serial number and this hobby is a single row, so I don't need to add new line at the end of this serial number. Instead I just need to add a space. Okay, but here I need to add a new line because this one is a new row. So for that, what I'll do is I'll add a new line at the end of each and every row. Okay, that's the first thing that we need to do. I'll just check it, Ctrl Alt N. See, we have some extra line here because we are adding a new line at the end of each row. This particular thing will work for each and every row. So at the end of every row, we are adding new line. Now what we need to do is we don't want to add new line for this print statement. Instead, we just want to add a space or comma, something like that. So for that, what we need to do is we need to add one extra parameter for this print statement. So print the value that we need to print and another parameter. I use keyword parameter n is equal to empty space. So that's it. We need to save it, run it. Yeah, now we are just getting a space for each and every value in a row, and we are getting new line for each and every row. Okay, inserting, reading, updating. Okay, I think I already covered that updating part here. See, using the cell property, we updated the values of newly inserted row. It's same case for all other things. For example, consider if I want to update a value for particular cell, means I need to use sheet.cell and then I need to pass row value. I need to change this serial number to some other value. Okay, so its row value is 1 and its column value is also 1. So I need to type row is equal to 1, row is equal to 1, comma, column is equal to 1, and its value should be the new value that we need to update. For example, I need to update it as number, means I just need to pass no as a third argument here. And you can also use one another way. Instead of passing value as a third parameter, you just need to pass dot value is equal to the new value number. That's the thing that I need to pass, because this particular cell method will return a new cell object. That cell object has this value property and we are updating that property with some new value. So that's the thing. So we can even make this code more readable. So I'll just type cells equal to, and then I'll type cell dot values equal to no. That's it. I'll just save the changes and I'll run this program once again. Okay, it's done. Oh, it's not updated because I haven't saved the changes. So for that, what I'll do is I'll use wb.save and wb-path. That's the name of the workbook. Okay, Control Alt-N. Yeah, it's done. Now I'll open the preview. Yes, it updated the cell value. Actually, follow this particular approach. Don't use this particular approach because this way is more readable than this particular way. So use dot value property of cell object to update anything. Actually, this cell object has more properties, like it has row object. Okay, I'll just print cell dot row. It's one of the properties, and I'll also print cell dot column and cell dot coordinate. Save the changes and the program. See, its row is 1, its column is 1, and its coordinate is A1. Okay, so these are all the useful properties that you need to remember when working with cells. Okay, updating part is also done. How to delete a cell? Deleting is actually easy. We already saw how to delete entire row, how to delete entire column. Deleting a cell means setting its value to none. It's similar to updating, right? For that, what you need to do, you just need to use the same approach. Okay, so but instead of setting some value to it, you just need to set it to some empty value or some null value, something like that. Okay, so you just need to use this for deleting thing. Now I'll show you different ways to access a range of cells. For example, consider I need to access all these cells from column 1. Okay, I need to type sheet of, I need to access A column fully. So I will pause A here and then I'll just type cells and I'll print it. So print cells. Actually, I don't need to save this changes anymore. So I'll just comment out this line. Now I'll run the program. Control Alt-N. See, now we get A1, A2, A3, A4. These are all the cells that are there in our column 1 or column E. That's the thing. Okay. Now suppose consider you need to access entire row 1, means you need to just pause sheet of 1. So now we'll get all the cells from row 1, because usually in Excel we have a number for rows and alphabets for columns. So 1 means row. So save changes, run the program. See, A1 and B1. It's this A1 and B1. You can use dot value to actually get all the values. Okay, now consider you need to access all the data from here to here, means from A1 to B3, means you just need to type A1 colon B3. That's it. Control Alt N. See, we get tuple of tuple. Cell A1 comma B1, this one tuple, A2 comma B2, A3 comma B3. We get all those things. Suppose you need to get all the rows from 1 to 4, means same way. 1, 2, 4. Control Alt N. See, we get all the data. Similarly, you can also use this range mechanism for column 2. Suppose if you want to access all the column from column A to column B, means A to B. Now we will get this particular value as one tuple and this particular value as another tuple. Okay. Control Alt N. See, A1, A2, A3, A4. So this one tuple and B1 to B4 is another tuple. Okay. So these are all the different ways to access the range of cells. Use any of this approach. So I think I covered all the basic things that you need to know. Now I'll show you how to get all the worksheets that are there in our workbook. For that, I'll use wb.worksheets. That's it. I'll just print it. Print wb.worksheets. Control Alt N. Okay, see, we have only one worksheet and that worksheet name is hobbies. So now I'll show you how to add a new worksheet to our workbook. For that, use wb.createSheet. That's a method that we need to use. And then as a first argument, you need to pass the title of the workbook. So here I'm going to use this particular worksheet to store my social media followers. So I'll use followers as my title. Okay. And then as a second argument, you can optionally pass the index value. Okay. So suppose if you pass index 0, means it will place this followers worksheet before our hobbies worksheet, because 0 is the lowest value. So it will place our newly created index before this hobbies. Okay. Suppose if you leave this as empty, means our followers worksheet will be there as a last worksheet. So I'll just use index 0 and at last don't forget to save the changes. So wb.save wb-pack. Save the changes and the program. Okay, see, now we have two worksheets, followers, hobbies. I'll check it. See, followers is there as the first worksheet because we add index value. You can pass any index value. Suppose let's consider we don't pass any index here. Okay, so I'll just remove it and I'll change the worksheet name to projects to store all the projects that we did. Okay, so I'll say changes, Control Alt N. Now see, our project is there as a last worksheet in this list. I'll also verify it in our review. See, projects is there as the last worksheet. Hobbies is second and followers is first. Okay. Now I recommend you to pause this video and I want you to add some data into this followers worksheet to actually store the number of followers and each and every social media that you are actively in. You can use this followers worksheet to store number of followers you have in Facebook and number of followers you have in Twitter. Okay. So pause this video, finish this challenge and let's see the result. I hope you finish that challenge because that's straightforward. See, I have this followers. YouTube, I have 3K and Udemy, I have 11,500. Okay. Now, what I need to do is I'm going to display a chart here in this worksheet. Okay. I'm going to display a pie chart, for example. Okay. So I'll show you how to do that because displaying chart is one of the common tasks that we do in Excel. So what we'll do is we need to import few things from this OpenPyXl module. So I'll do that first. So here I'll import from OpenPyXl, import the chart type that I need to import is pie chart, and I'll also import reference, and then I'll even comment out these lines. Okay, and then here I'll create a chart object. Chart is equal to pie chart. Now I need to add some data into the chart. First I'll create a category. Okay, so I'll type category is equal to reference. I'll use reference to create a data. Okay, so reference of First, we need to pause a sheet from where we want to load data. So I'll pause sheet. Now I need to pause few other parameters. So I'll type min call is equal to 2 and min rows equal to 2, max rows equal to it. I'll pause dynamic value sheet dot max row. Okay, so here what I'm doing is I'm loading data from this sheet. What data we are loading? We are loading data from this particular range. I'm setting minimum column to 2, means I'm fetching data from this column 2. Okay, from which row? From row 2. That's the thing that we are setting using this min row parameter. Okay, what's the max row? How many rows that sheet particularly has. Okay, so we are going to this column 2 and from row 2 we are fetching all the rows. Okay, so that's the meaning of this particular line. This is a category. We loaded the categories using this particular line. Now I want you to load data. Okay, which data? I want you to load these two data. I recommend you to pause this video and try out this challenge. Pause this video. I hope you finished that challenge. If not, don't worry, we'll do it together. So I'll type data is equal to reference of. We are going to load data from our sheet. Which sheet? Follower sheet. We actually stored follower sheet in the sheet reference. So sheet, comma. Actually, we haven't did that. We actually comment out this line. We need this line. So just copy it here. Okay. Follower sheet. Okay. Now the minimum column is column 3 because in column 3 only we have our data. Actually, I'll do one thing. I'll actually split my screen. Okay. I need data from this column 3. From where I need data from row 2 till end. Okay. So for that I'll type min rows equal to 2, right? And max row is equal to sheet dot max row. That's it. Now what you need to do? You need to add this data into our chart. For that, chart dot add data. It will pause data, and we also need to pause the categories. So chart dot add categories. That's it. We added our data and we added our categories. Finally, we want to set some title to our chart. So chart dot title is equal to followers, something like that. Okay. Finally, we need to insert this chart into our worksheet. For that, we need to do sheet dot add chart, and the chart that we need to add is in this reference chart. And where we need to add, I will add this chart in E2. Okay, so I'll type E2. That's it. Save the changes. Control Alt N. Oh, error. Cannot import name pie chart from OpenPyXl. Oh, I did one mistake here. So I'll go to the import statement and then I'll correct it here. OpenPyXl dot chart. From this particular module, you need to import pie chart and reference. Okay, save the changes. Control Alt N. Oh, pie chart has no attribute add categories. Oh, it's actually set categories. Okay, that is it. Here it is, set categories. That's it. Save the changes. Control Alt N. I hope now it will run. Yes, but here we are not actually getting the preview. So what I'll do is I'll open it in my Excel. I'll open it. See, here we actually loaded our chart followers. I actually have 3K followers in YouTube and 11.5K followers in Udemy. I have one problem here. See, when I hover my mouse over this chart, see, we are getting series 1 point Udemy. But what I want to get is series followers. That's the actual series here displayed in this chart, right? So I want series followers and then point is Udemy. I just want to have like that. Okay, for that what you need to do is I'll just close this Excel, and then here when selecting data, I will select it from row 1. Here we are selecting it from row 2, but now I want to select it from row 1. Okay, there our title is there. Okay, so row 1, I'll say the changes, and then Here when adding data, I need to pass one another parameter to it, and that is titles from data. I'll just set it to true. Now it will make the first argument as a title. Okay. Control Alt and it's done. See, now we have series followers and point is Udemy. Here we have series followers point YouTube. Yes, it's working. Now I'll show you one final thing, that is adding image into your Excel worksheet. That is very simple. Okay, so I'll comment out these things. Okay. So I'm just selecting the sheet, and then here I am going to use OpenPyXl dot drawing dot image. Okay, so you can also import this image from this particular package. Since I am going to use this image class in this particular place, I am not going to import it. I'll do this full path here. Okay. So image is equal to this particular class, I'll pass the path of the image. Okay, so here I have this nature.jpg in the same folder of my project. So I'll just pass nature.jpg here. We need to insert this image to our sheet. So sheet.add image. The image we need to add is img, and I'll add it in A8 coordinate. Okay, I'll just run it, Control Alt N. Okay, it's done. I'll open it. See, our image gets added here. Okay, now this image is huge, so I'll resize this image. Okay, so I'll just close it. What I'll do is, before actually adding it, I'll just set some manual height and width to it. So image.height is equal to, for example, 250, and img.width is equal to 250. That's it. Save the changes. Run this program once again, Control Alt N. Okay, it's done. I'll reopen it again. See, now we have this small image. This is our previous image that we added earlier. This is our little image where we set some height and width to it. Okay, so this is what I need to show you. And finally, I also need to show one another thing, that's the important thing, that is formatting cells. For example, consider we have this cells. This is actually a header row, but this row is actually not formatted. I want this particular row to be bold, and I also want to set some background and foreground color to this particular row. So for that, what you need to do is, you need to get the cell that you want to format. You need to format all the cells in this first row. So for that, I'll use for loop. So for column in, I'll use range method. Okay, from range 1 to sheet dot max column plus 1. Here our row is constant, our row number is 1. So here I'll just fetch the cell. So cell is equal to, I'll use sheet dot cell method to fetch the cell. So sheet dot cell, here row is 1 and column is column. We have this column, right? So now I need to set new font value to it. Okay, so I'll type cell.font is equal to OpenPyXl.styles.font, and to it you need to pass bold is equal to true, which makes the text of that particular cell to bold. Now if you want to change the foreground color, you just need to type color is equal to, and here you need to pass a hex value. For example, I need to have some nice gray color. Okay, so I'll just pass it, hex value for it, C6, C6, C6. It's a hex value for a gray color. Okay, you can also give some font name and size to it, but I don't want to change it. Now I need to set some background color to it. So for that, I'll use fill property. Fill is equal to OpenPyXl.styles.pattern fill. So instead of font, I'll use pattern fill. To it, I'll pass background color. So start color is equal to background color. For example, I need my background color to be in blue, means I need to pass its RGB hex value. Okay, first I'll pass 00. We don't want any red part, and I don't want any green part too. So G is also 00, and I need blue color. So I'll pass FF2 blue. I'll also type fill type is equal to solid. That's it. Save the changes. Make sure to save your workbook. Control Alt N. Wait for it to finish. Okay, it's done. Now we'll open this workbook. See, now our background color is in blue and our foreground color is in light gray. Okay, thank you for being with me still here. I hope this video helps you to access and work with Excel spreadsheet using your Python code. Finally, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, just hit the subscribe button to never miss my weekly updates. And I'd like to ask you one little question not related to this particular video, but a general question. What's your favorite backend framework? My favorite backend framework is Express.js, Node.js with Express.js. What's yours favorite backend framework? I'm asking this question just because I'm planning to create a tutorial series on web API development. So I'd like to receive your input. So please comment what's your favorite backend framework. So I hope you enjoyed this session. Meet you soon in another video. Till then, thank you and goodbye.